Well, sorry. I'll actually start that again. That's my bad. Sorry. So welcome to the 91st episode of the Huddy Hui. It's always good to start off with a bit of a blooper. But our guest this evening played against Tawa. He actually came on early in the first half and scored a cracker of a try. We're going to be introducing you to him soon. And we're also going to be looking at the round 2 action of the Jubilee and the Hardman Cup at the end of this episode. So hang on to that. But our guest tonight is the Petone Colts fullback, who's also played 2 Premier games, Max Hosking. Max, many thanks for coming on the Huddy Hui. You came off the bench early last week, and you in the Jubilee Cup quarter-final. How did you find playing rugby at that level, particularly at finals level?
Yeah, so first things first, thanks for having me on, Brad. Excited to be here. Coming on to that game in the Jubilee Cup was pretty exciting. Didn't realise I was going to get quite that much time, but things fell the way they did, and I ended up getting on the field. So but really good level of rugby. I felt as though it was a really good level to compete at, and really enjoyed being out on the field with those guys and being able to play at that level. So.
Now, I mentioned in the intro, you scored a cracker of a try. Now, you also burnt off someone that's well known for speed. That's also the Tawa first 5, Luke Walmsley. Talk us through that try.
Yeah, so obviously, quick kick came from the first 5 from Tawa straight to Karen Green, first 5 for Petone. Took it really well, looked for a little bit of a loopy ball, and ended up falling into my hands. Kind of stepped inside, trying to find a bit of a space, and ended up getting a bit of a hole. And then from there, it was just foot race. Thankfully, I managed to get through the hole and get around the first 5. And I was there, obviously, as you mentioned, not a slow fella, so it was pretty good. And then ended up scoring my first Premier try, which was exciting. And we'll remember it for probably a very long time.
What was the feeling like after the loss to Tawa for Petone? And how is the team resetting themselves for the challenge of the Hardman Cup rounds?
Yeah, so look, obviously it's devastating being out of the Jubilee. We were all pretty amped for that game against Tawa. We all thought we had a shot to go out there and win it at home, but as the results fall, we're down in Hardham now. So we're just trying to refocus. The big focus this week was just in the enjoyment of our rugby, and just making sure that we go out there, have a good time, and get the win at the same time. Because at the end of the day, we're at a point where we still want to win. We still want to go as far as we can in the Hardham Cup. But we've still got to make sure that we're enjoying our rugby after a tough couple of weeks.
Now, how was training tonight, and how's the team looking for this Saturday? Yeah,
training was good. Lots of energy, lots of fun around the group. We all enjoyed ourselves, which is nice. We got our work done, which is good, and we're all excited about the way we're playing, the way we're looking. Obviously, this week we'll just go out and try and do the same thing. We're all kind of focused on our jobs, focused on our work. Hopefully we end up getting through our processes and getting that result Saturday.
Now, your first appearance for the Premier side came in round 10. You came off the bench and played against the Wellington Axemen. How did you find out that you were going to be in the 22 for the Premiers that weekend? And how was your feelings going into that game?
Yeah, so I found out at training Thursday night. Bit of a late call, but obviously they were short on numbers as it was, trying to find the players. So head coach Ryan Piper, as known as Pipes, he ended up coming to me at the start of training, having a chat with me and saying, look, we want you on the bench. So that was really exciting. Obviously felt really, really cool to have the shot to go out there and play. And then coming on at half time was awesome as well. Got a bit of time to just settle into the game, and then end up getting into my motions. And I thought I played pretty well, but it was a good game from the team all round, and we ended up getting the win in that game as well. So, yeah.
Now, you played most of the season for the Colts side. How have you found Colts footy in the capital city?
Yeah, it's really enjoyable. I'm really loving my time in the Colts. Obviously, Petone's got a good bunch of guys in that Colts group, loving the atmosphere with the team. We're obviously, managing to get results, which is good. We're playing good footy. Really love playing Colts. It's a good environment, good level of rugby. Really enjoying it.
And tell us about your coaching staff. How have they helped develop this Colts side throughout the season?
Yeah, so obviously main coaches Was and Jonesy. They're great guys. I really love playing for those guys. They're both really good coaches. They both bring different points of view, different knowledge to the table. Obviously, Was has been involved with the Colts for a few years, so he knows his stuff. He knows his way around the grade. And John, obviously being involved with the Silver String First 15 over the last couple of years, he knows how to get results. So yeah, both of them really good. And then obviously we've got Aaron Jonesy as well, who comes in and helps us out. He's awesome, brings the knowledge that we need. And then same thing with Chris Sterlo. Both of them have the knowledge that they bring to our trainings. They help us out with the little technical things. And yeah, all of them together just make a really, really good group.
The Colts only had one loss this season. It was the curtain raiser to McBain Shield against Huddy Hui. What has the team learned from that game? And how much of an impact was that late intercept try in the first half that Hut got?
Yeah, so obviously starting with the game itself, as you mentioned, the intercept try that they got, it was pretty killer. We thought we had a lot of momentum going in that first half. We were keeping up with them pretty well, and we managed to get some really good points on the board. Unfortunately, they obviously managed to get the intercept try, which fair play to them. They read it well. And yeah, unfortunately from them, we kind of felt as though we were clawing back into that second half. We had a few opportunities down the line to get another try back at them, but unfortunately couldn't convert. But yeah, at the end of the day, that game kind of taught us to stay in the fight. We're going to play a full 80 minutes every week from here on out, because at the end of the day, we can't play a 60-minute game and expect to get a result against a team like Hut, who they played a good game, they played well, and props to them for getting that win that day. But we know we can do better.
Now, this is quite an interesting question. How do you enjoy Friday night Colts footy? Or do you believe it should remain thoughts because you've played a few games that night on Fridays so far?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag playing on a Friday. Benefits that we find, we get, obviously most of our games have been up at NZCIS, which has been lovely because it's great ground and it's really good to play on. Obviously downsides, you've got to worry about getting time off work. You've got to worry about finishing the day of work, coming to play rugby. Personally, I quite like the idea of playing on a Friday night just because it gives me the ability to then play footy, when everyone's around the club, when everybody's already there and we're all together. It's a good atmosphere to be, have all the teams playing together at the same place, same day, and everybody just get around it. But I think certain weeks it's good, certain weeks it's bad, so it's really mixed bag.
Now, who are some of the key players in the Colts team and some of the characters?
Yeah, so obviously looking at our forward pack, one of our main ones is probably our captain, Connor Tufo. He's been playing really, really well, obviously as shown by his opportunity to debut for the Prems as well. So obviously he's been pretty influential. We've got a couple other guys in there, guys like Seth Clayton playing lock, Lennox Easthouse playing lock, Tala Rupina playing flanker as well, and Connor Velas playing flanker. Those guys have been all playing really well out of the forward pack. Backline, Emery McGill, our first five, has been playing some good footy. I really enjoy playing with him. He's been having a couple of good games. And then obviously we've got guys like Laban, Leon Misa on the wing, Hamish Fraser on the wing as well. So yeah, really good group of guys. Really enjoyable. Got a couple of Tala Rupina, Connor Velas. They just, lift the team environment. They make it all a really fun, good group to play in. But yeah, really good group of guys, all great players, and really enjoy playing with every one of them.
So the Colts have a week off before the start of the second round. How is the team tracking heading into the second round? And what are some of the areas of improvement the team needs to do?
Yeah, I think we're tracking really well. I was able to get in on the back end of training tonight and, had a look at the boys, how they were tracking, and they looked good. Our we're missing, I think our structures and the way we play are there. But every game, as always, we lack those little details and certain moments that'll, mixing the little things. But great base to work on. I think we're building really, really well. And come next week, we'll be ready to go.
Why did you make the move to Petone? Because you actually live up the coast. Why the change?
Yeah, so last year I spent my time playing at Petone Rugby Club, which is obviously my local hometown rugby club. Always got a love for that club. Always going to enjoy being a part of their group. But after a good year of rugby, I decided I'd try and take it a little step further. And obviously one of the rugby hubs of New Zealand, it's always a bonus to be able to come out and get a bit more exposure, get a bit more time playing with some high level guys. And coming out, starting playing Colts, it was a good introduction to the type of rugby you get in Wellington. And again, as I mentioned before, it's a great level of rugby to play. And then obviously, thankfully, I've had the opportunity to play in that Premier environment, which you're not going to get much better than Premier rugby in Wellington. So the level of rugby and that exposure was the main reason why I came out to try my luck out here.
Have you found it the different style of club footy compared to up on the coast where you played for Paraparaumu last year and Petone this year? Are there comparisons? What are some of the differences?
I think there's definitely comparisons in the way they play. Obviously, it can be a pretty simple game. It's pretty similar all over the place. So the way I played at Pram and the way I play here aren't too different. I think the main difference is obviously like I say, the level of players that you find. HK is Horowhenua Kapiti, the region that we play in, and Paraparaumu, it's a great region. I enjoy playing there, and obviously, we'll always be wanting to, be a part of that group. But the league just it's that next step, and I think that's shown in club rugby and also in the representative side of things as well. So, yeah, I think Paraparaumu rugby, it's got the base of the same that Wellington has.
Sorry, got the wrong club there. How did Paraparaumu go last year? Because you played in both the A and B sides. How'd they go in 2022?
We had a last game that we ended up doing really well in against Hui, which is a club from Waitaki. But narrowly missed the finals. And then the B squad, which I predominantly played my time for, we ended up winning the reserve grade championship for that league, beating Levin Athletic in the final. So that was a really awesome team to be a part of. I played most of my time in that team and really enjoyed playing around with those guys. So it was really good.
What is your preferred position? Is it wing or fullback?
Both have got their benefits. I do enjoy playing fullback. I love the bit of freedom that you get, kind of being able to insert yourself where needed and make the runs that you need. But I also enjoy playing on that wing, being able that last ball, hands on the ball, and being able to put my speed on and finish in the corner most of the time. So again, benefits of both. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say winger. But I enjoy playing fullback absolutely.
What are some of the key qualities to your game? Is it mostly your speed or awareness? Tell us about what you think are your key qualities that you bring to the game of rugby.
I always like to think my speed is probably one of my bigger qualities. Obviously, being an outside back, it's always good to have a bit of speed on you. So I think my game really, is defined by my speed. But I think, awareness, like you mentioned, is a big thing of mine. I like to think my kicking game probably has an impact. I've worked quite hard on my kicking, both out the hand and off the tee. So, I think just agility and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, being a bit of a smaller guy throughout my life playing rugby, I've liked to lean on my speed and agility to be able to take me through most of those moments. So, yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned about speed. You're described by the Hurricanes under-20s mentor Darren Larson as having express pace. How did you develop this? Did you do athletics or where'd your pace come from?
That is a very good question, Brad. And to be honest, I'm not so sure of the answer myself. I played a lot of touch rugby growing up, so I think that probably had something to do with it majorly, because that's obviously quite a high-paced game in itself. I did do athletics when I was younger, but not anything serious. So I like to think it's a bit of genetics, but it's probably the types of sport that I've played growing up has probably influenced the ability for me to gain that speed throughout my life.
We'll come back to touch rugby soon. But at the start of this year, you were selected in the Hurricanes under-20s squad. How was that experience of experiencing the atmosphere of professional rugby?
Yeah, it was awesome. I really enjoyed my time in that Hurricanes development under-20s. It was really cool. I ended up, through our trial games, being put with the Manawatu under-20 squad for a couple of games. And yeah, really good bunch of guys, obviously all great rugby players, and really enjoyed that level of exposure to that, that high level, as you say, that professional sort of environment. And yeah, I love that experience for the knowledge it gave me, for the skills it gave me, and just for the opportunity to, have my name under the Hurricanes banner. It was awesome. And yeah, really, really thankful for that.
And last year as well, you were named in the Hurricanes Heartland team. How was that experience in the rep season? How'd you find that?
Yeah, that was really cool. Obviously, that was probably my first exposure to kind of high performance footy. Never had that opportunity before. So, being involved with that, being involved with, the coaches, like, as you mentioned, Darren Larson, and all those coaches that were there, it was really awesome. I had a really, really good time doing that. We played a few games over a few weeks, ended up culminating in a game against the Chiefs Heartland at the McLean Park, which was unreal. I'll never forget that experience about playing on that field. And yeah, just really enjoyed my time. Got a lot of good knowledge, and had to have played a pretty good level of footy as well. So yeah, it was really, really.
Tell us about the Petone College up there, and how did you enjoy your time there?
Yeah, I loved my time at Petone College. I think it was awesome. Really, really good school. Obviously, a bit smaller. Not as well known for our rugby, but really, really enjoyed it. I was involved with a lot of things throughout my time at Petone College. A lot of people, but yeah, really, really good school. They taught me well. They set me up really well for life. So really thankful for what they've done for me.
In 2021, you were made head boy of the college. It's a fantastic honour. How was it being given a top leadership position in your final year? And what have you learnt from that you've taken into your footy career to date?
Yeah, it was an honour. Honestly, I wasn't expecting it when it happened, and when I got the opportunity, just tried to take it with both hands, which was really cool. But yeah, it was honestly a really, really cool experience. Real, like I mentioned, honour. And in terms of it implementing on my life and my footy career, I think it was just that. It was taking the opportunity when it's given to you. Obviously, it gave me some leadership skills that I've been able to bring to the game, and being able to speak up and have a voice. But yeah, I think it's just taking that opportunity when you're given it, and making the most of everything that you get.
How was it in 2021 for Petone College?
Yeah, our first 15 season, it was a bit rocky to say the least. I think we ended up in Division 2. We played some good games. We had some tight matches, and we had some games where we, scored pretty well and ended up getting a few wins. So really enjoyed the season. Obviously playing with a lot of my schoolmates was really cool. That was my only year of first 15 as well. So good experience being able to play. And it was awesome. We had a coach, Mike Voyle, who used to be a Welsh international player. So really cool to get some knowledge from him as well. But yeah, not exactly the ideal season, but still enjoyable, and still loved it nonetheless.
Now, you mentioned earlier, you reckon you got most of your speed from touch rugby. Tell us about who you play for in touch rugby, and when did you first start playing it?
Yeah, so I first started playing touch rugby, or I would have been about 6 years old, to be honest. I've played it pretty much all my life. Played in some tournaments, Currently, I play for my local club in Paraparaumu called the Kapiti Bears. They're a bit of a social competitive club that they kind of run out here, so play with those guys. And then representatively, I represent my Horowhenua Kapiti region, and I play at nationals pretty much every year for them. Every year I'm selected, that is. But yeah, really, really good club. Obviously, the Kapiti Bears are really not good to me. They support me really well, and they play a good level of touch. And then Horowhenua Kapiti, we always go out there. We're a smaller region, but we always compete at nationals as much as we can. So yeah, enjoy playing with them as well.
At the start of the year, you also selected in the New Zealand Under-20 mixed team to play at the Asia Pacific Youth Touch Tournament in Brisbane in May. How was that experience, particularly getting some international experience?
Yeah, that was amazing. Really, really cool experience. Got to play with a bunch of awesome players and got coached by some awesome coaches. And yeah, traveling overseas, being able to play internationally, represent my country and play against those other nations, it was really, really awesome. Again, as I've mentioned before, probably one of the experiences I won't forget anytime soon. And yeah, just really enjoyed every moment of that.
And what other rep teams have you played for in touch rugby?
Yeah, so that was probably my highest honour. Most of my other representative stuff would be through the Horowhenua Kapiti sort of grades. Played a lot of age grade stuff, went to nationals for them for under 16s and under 18s. And then obviously most recently went to the Open Nationals with our Opens team start of this year. Yeah, so a lot of stuff through Horowhenua Kapiti. I'll always have a big heart for them because they've done a lot for me as well. But yeah, that's probably the list of my honours at this stage.
So what have you taken from touch rugby that you've added to your game in rugby union?
A lot of touch is very similar to rugby, but one thing I find that touch does wonders for me is my vision and my awareness and my ability to play the ball. I think rugby and touch, in terms of the way you run, you pass, everything's pretty similar, but touch it's just another step up in terms of pace. So being able to make decisions on the fly and touch always will help in rugby. Being able to assess the field and assess the play and make a decision, it's something that I'll always be able to bring to rugby, always implement into my game. And I think that's been massive, especially going up those high levels and touch and getting that exposure to, having to make those decisions at those high levels. I think it will always help my rugby game.
And what do you do during the week when you're not taking part in rugby?
Yeah, so I'm a full-time worker. I work for the New Zealand Police as a call taker. Yeah, really enjoy that job, helping people every day, which is really nice. And yeah, that's pretty much my time spent during the week is work and rugby. So.
Oh, terrific. And what's your goals for the rest of the year? What are you hoping to achieve?
Yeah, so mainly just going as far as we can in the Hardham Cup for the Prems. Obviously, a bit disappointing to be there, but we'll work as hard as we can to get as many results as we can and lift the trophy at the end of the season. And then looking back to the Colts as well. Obviously looking forward to, going through finals and hopefully lifting the trophy at the end of that season as well. I think we've got a good chance to be able to do that also. So yeah, just keep putting in the work. And then yeah, just seeing where my rugby takes me really. And then going back to touch season, probably just looking to make the Horowhenua Kapiti Open mix once again and go back and compete at nationals and hopefully, try and take as well.
Who's the rugby player that you look up to and why?
For a long time, I've always looked up to Julian Savia a lot. Me playing wing, him playing wing. But yeah, watching the way that he played from a young age, I've really enjoyed that. Obviously, he's a phenomenal player, and he's been playing for a very long time. But yeah, loved watching the way that he played. Loved being able to, take some of his aspects and put it into my game. Although he might have been a little bit bigger than I was, but yeah, things that he could do on a rugby field. There's very few others that can do that. So yeah.
The Premiers have Avalon this Saturday. They've already played them this year. Tony, this weekend.
Yeah, I think Avalon's going to be a tough opponent. They always are. They always bring it. They've always obviously got the size on their side. obviously they'll want to bring it, but they'll be in the same position as us. They'll have nothing to lose, obviously, with it being quarterfinal time. They'll be putting everything out there to get that win, and yes, they'll just be wanting it as much as we are. So at the end of the day, we've just got to turn up and play hard because we know that they'll come out and do the same.
Max, it's been fantastic having on the Huddy Hui tonight. All the best this weekend.
So thank you for having me, Brad. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Max. And that is Max Hosking, young talent coming out of the Kapiti Coast, and in particular scored that, as mentioned earlier in the Hui, a cracker try right at the start of the broadcast of this Hui. Come off the bench against Tawa. So watch him as the season goes on. One of the many young talents coming around in club rugby in 2023. Well, speaking of which, we've come to the second round of the Jubilee and Hardham Cup. And, well, Parramatta, Plymouton and Johnsonville, they have a week off and they sit back and relax and see who they're going to play in their prelim semi-final. And let's have a look at those now. All 2:45 kickoffs this weekend. Upper Hutt host Oriental Rongotai. Upper Hutt losing narrowly to Paraplim last week, and Oriental Rongotai beating Marist St. Pat's. That's also going to be on Te Puka o Te Ika Māori Radio, so you can have a listen to that. The winner of that game will go and play Johnsonville the following weekend. So Helston Park, I've heard they're already getting the blue ready to go. Old Boys University played Tawa. Old Boys University got trounced by Jayville last week. They have the luxury of being at home at Rugby League Park. They've got a Tawa team that knows how to come right at finals time. So keep an eye on that one. The winner of that game will go on to play Parramatta Plymouton out at Ngāti Tawa Domain, and what a fortress that's been for Parramatta Plymouton this season. The Hardham Cup, well, Marist St. Pat's and Petone have dropped down to their Hardham Cup, and so it's round 2. These are the quarterfinals. Marist St. Pat's play Wellington. Porniki have Wainui. Hutt Old Boys play Norths. And our game we're covering on Huddy Sports this weekend is Petone versus Avalon. So the coverage of that will start from 2:30 on Huddy Sports. All the other games kick off at 2:45. Also, it's the start of the second round of the Under 85 competition. In particular, we have the Portiki Div 1 competition kicking off. Parramatta Plymouton have Petone, Stokes Valley have Porniki, and Tawa versus OBU. There we go. So that's the top division in Under 85 KG Rugby. That should be entertaining indeed. Well, speaking of which, next Wednesday, we have our 92nd episode of the Huddy Hui. He was supposed to be a guest last night. However, the bug got him, and so he could barely speak, but he's promised to come on next Wednesday, and it's going to be quite fitting that he's on, because we're going to be previewing Johnsonville's semi-final. He recently brought up 100 games. Jacob Wormsley will be our guest on the Huddy Hui next Wednesday, and also some other news for you. Next Saturday, we'll be covering Johnsonville's semi-final. So there'll be a enthralling 2 weeks coming up as we get closer to seeing who will be crowned Jubilee and Hardham Cup champions for